Hi, so thanks for tuning in to Vlogmas, aka Creepy Christmas. It has been a pleasure to bring these creepy tales to you, so thanks again for tuning in. Today's feature is going to be an awesome one from another indie author, so I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Hi folks, so the piece that I will be reading today is How to Get on the Good List by Duncan P. Bradshaw. This is my tiny dog. Her name is Clarice. Hello, Clarice. She managed to break into where I'm recording, so she's going to be my assistant today. So, How to Get on the Good List by Duncan P. Bradshaw. Carl dragged the metal barricade down from its mooring. It crashed into the ground with a heavy rattle. Good work today, George. You're a natural. The kids loved you. Hope you're braced for the mentalness tomorrow. George stretched his back out. His shoulder clunked as he did so. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. Glad I could be of service. Tomorrow will be fine. It isn't my first Christmas Eve as Santa, you know. He picked up his rucksack and hefted it over his shoulder. See you in the morning. Not too early. Carl chuckled and knelt down to affix the clunky metal padlock to the metal sheet. Ha! Take it easy, George. The walk back to his car was across the vast expanse of the now empty car park. George heard Carl's car start and waved a hand behind him as the car tooted and left. Daddy? The boot hissed open. George rooted around in a side pocket in his bag for a drifter chocolate bar he had bought for his lunch. With the sheer volume of excited kids hopped up on sweets, he hadn't even had time to eat it. He slung the bag into the abyss of the boot and ripped open the sweet wrapper, shoving an entire chocolate finger into his mouth. George turned around and saw a petite, demure woman standing in front of him. He looked around and he tried to work out where she had come from. He mumbled. Realizing he sounded nonsensical, he pointed to his mouth, working an overtime to emphasize that he couldn't speak. Daddy! The woman coyly held her hands together in front of her. She was wearing a knitted woolly hat. It made her face seem ridiculously small, but her eyes looked as big as saucers. She smiled sweetly and pointed to the corner of her mouth. Hee, you missed some, silly. What do you want, Stacy? I'm busy right now. Your mother has had an accident. Go and play with your toys a minute. George gulped and wiped his mouth with his red sleeve. Ha! Cheers. Been dying for that all day. I don't mean to be rude, but what are you doing out here? The shop's closed for the night. Won't be open till the morning. The woman clasped her hands together again and swung gently from her hips. That's okay. I meant to come earlier, but I got caught up elsewhere. I was hoping to see you before you left. But, Daddy, it's Christmas. I want to watch Gromit with Mummy, but she's not speaking to me. George looked at the woman with bemusement. You wanted to see me? I mean, Father Christmas? The woman smiled sweetly and nodded, biting her lip. I've told you, Stacy, your mother is not very well. She's having a lie down now. Be a good girl and watch your cartoons, okay, sweetheart? Daddy has had a busy day. I'll be through in a minute and we can watch something together, okay? The woman started to inch towards George, her doe-like eyes fixed on him. But don't you have a present for me, Father Christmas? George scratched his face as the polyester beard itched him some more. A present? You want a present? The woman moved closer, now standing a few feet away from him. The smell of pine trees and mulled wine wafted off her and washed over George. He was intoxicated by her festive aroma. Yes, she murmured seductively. That's what Father Christmas does, isn't it? Gives presents to good girls. Stacy, what did I tell you, darling? I told you to stay in the living room, didn't I? You're just like Mummy, aren't you? You both want to ruin Christmas for me. George could feel his pulse racing as he looked into her eyes. His mind went blank. Daddy, why is Mummy lying on the table? Is she hurt? 'Cause I can see blood. Well, do you have something for me, Father Christmas? I'm sure if you have a root around that sack of yours, you can find something for me, she winked at him. I fucking told you to stay out, didn't I? But no, this is why Father Christmas didn't get you any presents. This is why you're on the naughty list, just like Mummy. George came out of his daze and coughed. Of course, I think I have something left over from earlier. It's not much, but it's a present nonetheless. He turned and peered into the boot, trying to make out his bag in the gloom. Ah, here it is. Give me a minute. That's okay, mister. If Father Christmas has a present for me, then I must be a good girl, and if I am, then I have something for you, too, she whispered. George gulped and started to grope around the back of the car for his bag. I'm sorry, Daddy. Why have you got that axe? Don't you use a knife to cut up the Christmas bird? The claw hammer cracked into the back of George's skull, chips of bone embedded into his brain. His body convulsed and started to twitch involuntary. His red Santa hat blossomed with a deep crimson. Her hand wrenched upwards, and the back of his skull was pulled open like a cat flap. Pink, ribbed chunks of brain plopped out the back of his hat and dribbled down his red jacket. I told you, Stacy, you and Mummy are on the naughty list. If she didn't listen to me, but you will, won't you? Now come here and help Santa, Daddy. I'm sure if you do, you'll be a good girl for Christmas next year. Yeah, so that was really different. I hope it was obvious enough whenever I was reading the bits that were in the past tense. I haven't yet mastered how to read in italics. So that was my best shot at this point. Yeah, so that was a really cool piece. Thanks again to Duncan P. Bradshaw for letting me read How to Get on the Good List. If you'd like to see more of their work, I'm going to have links in the description. Please make sure that you're subscribed if you want to catch more spooky Christmas tales. I have quite a few left. I'm doing one every day in December, so I look forward to being able to share something with you tomorrow. Thanks.